Welcome to Larp Academia, my friend, and today we are going to talk to you about one-on-one fighting in Larps, or more specifically, how to fight one-on-one with boffer weapons. If you do a parlor game or something else, it will differ because you might have rock, paper, scissors, or just rolling dice. You can actually roll dice in Larping. I've seen it done before, and it varies a lot. So this is for specifically you with boffer swords. Now, the first thing you'll want to know, which may surprise some people, is how to actually swing a sword. You might think, Wizo, I have a sword, I know I could swing it, like it's not that big of a deal, it's super easy, I could just ha! And this is terrible and wrong already with how I'm swinging it. In fact, most people who swing a sword don't know how to actually swing it properly. How you want to swing a sword is with body mechanics. Now, there are many other resources that will help you learn a bit more about body mechanics, but in short, here's how it works. You want to swing your weapon in a way that makes sense to your body. If I'm swinging it like this, that kind of hurt my elbow a little bit, but if I'm swinging like that, this bit, it doesn't feel right. And therefore my shots, you can only tell, are terrible. You have some innate understanding that, yeah, I want to swing with my body, duh. Why would I try to swing this weird little bit? And mainly people do because this looks cool. However, LARPing isn't just about being cool, because I mean, you're LARPing. You're probably not the coolest person in the world to others out there, but for those of us who LARP, of course you are. Of course you are. But we want you to be safe, and we want you to actually do well. So here was how you would do that. Instead of swinging with your shoulders like most men do, since as a man I am innately a worse swordsman than a woman. That's right, I'm innately worse than a woman for LARPing because I swing with my upper body. If I swing, see how I'm swinging? Now think about that and compare it to this. Which do you think is better? These shots or this shot? Obviously you want a lighter sword so it wouldn't be too much on your body already, but if I swing like this, since usually LARP is a game of tag and you want some force, which if you think of force, think of, okay, that's a bit of force, but now think of, that's already a lot more force, it's a lot more whippy, it makes a sound, it actually stings a bit more than what just brute force is. Granted, yes, this can be a bit harder, but we're not about crushing our opponent. We're about wounding and killing them, because that's how LARP is. Instead of swinging and leaving ourselves wide open, or swinging and just having way too much power and telegraphing where I'm going to swing, if I wind up here, you know I'm swinging this way. If I'm here and I go to swing, you might think I'm swinging up here, but actually it's down here. I can swing anywhere I want and naturally it recovers. How do you do this? Well, it first starts with the foot. You make sure that your foot is pointed where you want to go and you can have some power there. Some power a little bit. Then you next use your hip. This is where men fall short most of the time. Our center of mass, or center of gravity as a man, is right up here. My torso, my upper body. And I want to swing and just use this upper body as my pendulum, which as you can see is not doing well. If I use my hips though, my whole body turns and I'm able to actually generate more power. So I can generate with my foot and my hip, and then lastly, my shoulder as it comes through. So if I do a normal swing, it comes through. And naturally, when I swing, instead of my body wanting to go down like this, it naturally wants to, as I cork my hip back, bring my sword back to defend. And it makes this little semicircle. Now that is how you swing properly. Again, there are other resources that go into this a little bit deeper, but body mechanics are extremely important. The next thing that you'll want to know about one-on-one LARP fighting is weapon styles and weapon choices. This is called Florentine, flow, two-weapon fighting, whatever. If you are doing this, you are an aggressive fighter usually. You do not want to cross lanes. We're not going to go into it as in-depth as other people can go, but by crossing lanes, I mean these are lanes. I don't want to cross the lanes and screw it up. And you have to swing as if they are separate weapons. I know, shocking revelation, but it actually is to a lot of new people. They usually swing like this instead of like that. And when swinging like this, you can see I didn't cross lanes. In fact, there are 4 quadrants. 1, 2, 3, 4. My right hand is for 2 and 4. My left hand is for 1 and 3. People label them different numbers, whatever, it doesn't matter. But you have these 4 quadrants: shoulder, shoulder, hip, hip. Why these areas? Because they naturally are easier for your swords to hit. If I'm trying to hit quadrant 2, my sword naturally wants to go there. If I want to hit quadrant 4, it naturally wants to go there, especially if I twirl it upwards. It's very easy. If I want to hit middle, you can make a 5 and 6 if you really want, but generally it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So when fighting with flow, I'm going to be very aggressive. I'm going to swing with one sword, block with the other, swing, 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 and generally I will want to swing towards different quadrants, well, opposite quadrants. So if I try to go for 1 on my left, I'll then want to go for 4 on my right, 3 on my left, 2 on my right. Try to switch it up to where it's as awkward and brain jarring as it is to defend against that. Now, Florentine counters sword and board. Why? They have 1 sword, you have 2. We'll show you that in a sec. So, sword and board. This is probably going to be the most common style. Why? Because shields are usually overpowered in most Larps. If they're able to be broken, it takes a lot to break them. They're very good at defending things, especially projectiles, and they are awesome. As a shieldman, you can either have a strap shield like this, or a punch shield like this. The reason why you would have a punch shield is because, well, 1, it's small, you can usually have it out further, probably tape the cover a bit more, and you can actually manipulate your opponent's equipment. So if I have a sword here, you could punch that sword out of the way with the shield. You can actually be offensive with it. Usually most Larps allow equipment on equipment manipulation, which means swords equipment, shields equipment, bash it away. Not necessarily equipment on body. That's not all the time acceptable. And in fact, in most Larps it's not. For a strap shield, you are getting more of a defense. So I would grab my shirt, and if I grab my shirt and rotate my hips, all I need to do if someone goes for my shoulder is shrug. Now I am defended everywhere, and it's for those people who really want to be defensive, who want to be able to just take anything and be fine, and they can maneuver around. They don't have to worry about their shield, where it's placed, because if I have a punch shield, then if someone goes to my shoulder, I would have to move my whole arm, which leaves quite a bit open. It's very easy for bad things to happen. Now, the reason why Florentine or Flow 2-weapon fighting, whatever, counters sword and board is because I have 1 sword. I swing, well, I have no other way to swing. If it's blocked, my whole offensive capability is blocked. They can threaten both sides. And while the shield blocks one side and the sword can block that side, I'm blocking and not attacking, so I have to choose. That's why Florentine kind of counters sword and board. But what counters Florentine? Why? The pole of the great weapon. You see, this weapon has a few things. 1, it has range. 2, I can poke you. I can poke you in a small area. Now, if anyone's Larped and they've seen a pole and they see this poking coming towards them, they probably have PTSD right now, because pole pokes are very annoying. They're long, I can poke with them, and it's just a problem. Especially if I'm Florentine, then my weakness is I have nothing to block projectiles or pokies. If I'm like this, I can be poked here or somewhere else. I would need to block the pole right up as I go up and then hit them at close range, because poles have a few weaknesses. While it's fun to poke you from a distance, if you get close, it's hard to move this thing. As you're seeing, I'm struggling in order to wield it and change it, and it's a bit easier with a speed pole, because I can actually, with a speed pole like this that's extremely light, I can bring it down, I can poke, and every time I have another option on how to hit you with. But for greater poles, it's much harder. So poles do counter Florentine, and they have an extremely rough time if someone gets close. The counter to a pole is a shield. Since a shield is easy to block this, I mean, what am I going to hit, your legs? And if I try to hit your legs, oh no, my pole's pinned, or they're riding up it. I'm dead. I'm dead as they just whack me with their sword when I have literally nothing. So how it works is poles counter Florentine, Florentine counters sword and board counters poles. It makes this nice little rock, paper, scissors analogy, but again, all of this is not a hard counter. It's not saying that if you have a sword and board and I have a pole, you will automatically win, or if you have a Florentine and I have a pole, I'll automatically win. Skill does have a huge factor in this, and if opponents are of equal skill, this is saying that 8 times out of 10, that counter should win. Now, we talked about the other counters and just styles that you could do with one-on-one fighting, but we're going to give some examples of a bit more intricate tips that we can give you. And I have this awesome stunt dummy that I've bribed to stand here and react to some of the things. Now, the first important bit is footwork. For one-on-one fighting in LARP, footwork is extremely important. If I am fighting her here, I don't have a lot of very good angles. However, if she just stood there and I was right here, I could hit her anywhere. I could hit her back or everywhere else. So you might be wondering, Wizo, how do I make that happen? And that is with footwork. You need to be able to outplay your opponent. So a great way of doing it is, let's say I go step in this way. She's ready to block or strike, or she's panicking, and then I step around. See, I got right behind her. That was footwork. I got right behind her that exact same bit. It's even more if she goes with this step. Now, if I go and I step in like this and she goes backwards, then I can still go around and, as you can see with my sword, hit her in the back. It's very easy, well, not very easy, it's very difficult. It's like a dance. That's why when you see higher level fighters fight, they end up having a little dance where they look around, they kind of have their sword down, they think about what they're doing, they're not trying to expend any energy. And then when they have a plan about how to outmaneuver their opponent, they go in and they go, and they kill their opponent. Footwork is very important. The next important bit is feinting. Now, as you kind of saw a little bit, feinting is where I make them think I'm going one way and then I go the other way. Or go do one thing and then do another. Now, the easiest ways to explain feinting is there are two types. There are sword feints and there are body feints. So if I were to do that feint without footwork, I would, with my sword, for sword feinting, go like this and then down. Now, the sword feinting alone, it's not very convincing. As you can see, even the stunt dummy wasn't perturbed. And if I do body feinting, I would feint this way and then go around. See, body feinting, as you saw, was a bit more effective, just naturally. But if I combine the two, where I go forward a little bit and then go around, then usually, if she hadn't seen this already a few times in a row, she would go with it. So the whole point of feinting is to make them think you are going one way and not another. However, you don't want to expend too much effort. So if I were to do a feint like that, and I went this far, and then I went around, that's way too much effort. Instead, I want to sell it enough where I'm bringing my body forth and my sword to where she believes it, and then I go around and do my actual attack with only minimal movement. Now, this will depend on the person that you are trying to sell this feint to. If I'm trying to sell it to a new person, someone who doesn't understand the mechanics of the game, then I would need to go out of my way and go all the way in here, lean, and then go around. If I'm selling it to a higher level fighter, since they can see these very quickly, all I need to do is this and then go around. Because just this movement here will give a reaction, because they see where my body's going. They see that he's going this way, and then I can go around. You need to adjust your feint depending on the skill of your opponent. The lower the skill, the higher the commitment to the feint. The higher the skill, the lower the commitment to the feint. Something very important to keep in mind. Now that we've gotten feinting out of the way, we have combos. I have a combo video, well, an example of me doing a combo in this clip when I introduced online LARPing. Now, as you could see, I was doing it on a Pell or sand dummy, but I'm going to do it on a real life dummy this time. So, what I'm going to do in slow motion is I'm going to go in, feint here, you see the feint, and then if they're new and they try to get from either leg, I have that covered. So, if she tries to go for my leg, I bring it across. My sword is coming down. So it's like a pendulum where it goes down here, and then I use my footwork and my body mechanics that we talked about earlier to pop it right into her side. Now, I can adjust this at any point too. If I can see that she's not buying the fake, if I go in and I fake at this and she's not reacting, if she's not reacting at all, because she's seen this, and I can go even further in, I can adjust that combo. And combos are usually a bit more adjustable, but you have to be a little bit dedicated. So if I think I'm going to go in and I'm going to do that pop like I showed you before, then I can go in and I only change it when I see her not adjusting to this. It could be because she's a new person, she doesn't understand what's up, but if my sword is at a point where I could easily kill her, just kill her. Just kill them. Just don't try to be super fancy. Don't try to be like, they're not reacting, but I should still continue with my combo. Like, no, it's not a very good option. You can adjust on the fly, but you should go in with a game plan. That's why higher level fighters, they look and they prowl against each other until they think they see something, and then they step into the light and then they, well, bam, do their combo. Now, there are other combos that you can do too. An example of a bad combo, something that you really want to consider, is the ability for you to pull it off. For that combo that I just did, the problem is that someone's leg or foot can be in the way if they step in forward. So my goal here is if they step away, which is kind of natural instinct. But if they step forward when I do this combo, so I step in, they step in, then I'd want to, it was so effective that it even jerked the camera, as the camera was impressed. Now, a combo that you don't want to do, which a lot of people do, is going cross body without using proper body mechanics. When I did this shot here, it's because I'm twisting my body and I am using what my body wants to do. If instead I try to combo and swing over here, I'm swinging overhead, I'm swinging at a different place where my body naturally wants to be. My sword wants to swing in this area, or if I twist my body this area, very rarely up here. But if I try to fake down here and then go across, you can see she's already ducking because she knows the problem that can happen. Or even if I think that I can loop around, that's such a weird combo and it's all mainly in my arm, that's not body mechanics. You don't want to do that. You want to use a combo that will utilize feints, body mechanics, and footwork in order to do it correctly. And easier, or just pick one or two of them. Now, a way of doing it without using all of those is a simple feint like this. Let's say I want to get her hip, her butt, her back, wherever in that area. I want her to get the shield out of the way. So if I try to feint for the shoulder and I go up, it looks like I'm doing a wrap shot, and then I pop around. All I needed to do with that was just a feint and then finish my combo. You could use either feint, footwork, or whatever else in order to make a combo, but it needs to have a purpose and be easily executable. I would not plan a combo until you're extremely highly skilled to have 3 or more steps. So for example, that one where I went down, across, and over, that's because I have a lot of faith in my footwork and my body mechanics. If I were a new person, I'd probably go swing, hit their leg, come around, just flail with the sword, and then just, I'd have my shield up, but I'd still also, in that instance, since I don't have my footwork, I would block that first shot that she did, but then when I'd come around, I'd be wide open because I don't have control of my body. Stick to a bit simpler where you're thinking I'm going to fake one way and then go around, just 2 points, or don't get too intricate. You can even go to the point where I have this combo so thought out that if I go fake, down, over, I can then decide where I want to go from here. I can then choose to go into press and then go around, and that's already a 5-step combo if I want. If instead I could go around, bring it here, and then come over and hit her shoulder. There's a lot of different ways I can still continue to go, but it's important to have this kind of pre-planned, which is why I would highly suggest looking up our video on Larping Online to learn some practicing techniques, like practicing your combos, your pel work, and other things to make this natural. Because if you just decide as a newer player, or someone who's only had 5 years of experience or whatever else and is an extremely high level, that, oh, I'm going to go in and I'm going to improvise a combo, you're going to fail. I even fail like 90% of the time when I try that. So do it after you have a plan or after you have practiced those movements, and only incorporate movements that you're comfortable with. Don't try to incorporate movements that are funny, like a spin that you've never tried. That's gonna lead to failure. So that is our tips on how to 1v1 in LARPing, specifically with boffer swords, of course, since other LARPing is completely different and based on the system. Like other parlor LARPs, it could be rock, paper, scissors, or whatever else. It completely depends on that system. But for boffers, this is a good general comprehensive introductory on how to fight one-on-one and how to fight well. Don't try to get too fancy. Work out little pieces here and there from the basics onward, and eventually you will become an awesome one-on-one fighter. Now, we'd love to hear your comments on ways to help others improve. We have not covered everything at all, for sure. This is just an introductory, but any comments on this would be appreciated. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ding that notification bell so that you can stay informed on all things LARP. And until next time, keep LARPing.